Tyrese Maxey has now done something that only two other players in the league have done this season, which is have 3 50-plus point games. He joins the likes of Devin Booker and his teammate Joel Embiid, as they are the only teammates to both have 3 50-plus point games in a season. How has Tyrese Maxey gone from this young star to competing for an all-NBA team? Let's talk about it. Now, before we break down the numbers, I want you guys to let me know if you guys were here towards the beginning of the season where we went through and we predicted how we felt like teams are going to finish in the NBA this season. And like I tried to tell you guys in that video, if you did end up watching that and throughout the podcast episodes at the beginning of the season, I tried to tell you guys that Tyrese Maxey was going to have a massive season this year. And I know that wasn't a hot take at the time. Many people were considering him for most improved player, but there was not as many people pushing for him to be that second star of the Sixers, as many people thought that they still needed a second star and he needed to be the third option. But like I tried to tell you guys, Tyrese Maxey has a skill set of a lot of different talents that are almost unteachable. The speed that Tyrese Maxey has and the just grit that he plays with, he never seems to be tired. You can never deter his confidence, are just things that you can't teach. And as a 23-year-old player in only his 4th season, putting up 26 points per game, he has blossomed into that second star that the Sixers have been looking for the past few seasons, but it just didn't seem like they realized that their second star was actually on the team the whole entire time, despite this whole Ben Simmons, James Harden drama throughout the past seasons. And they just needed to let Tyrese Maxey develop into the player that he is now. And the scary thing is, he's not even in his prime yet at only 23 years old, and he has so much room to improve. Looking at the numbers, Tyrese Maxey in his rookie season, which was now 3 seasons ago, averaging 8 points. He only ended up playing 61 games that season, only got to start 8 games, but he did show some potential there in that season, though his shooting wasn't that great, only shooting 30% from the field. But in his second season, that's where we really started to see what kind of player Tyrese Maxey could be, putting up 42%, almost 43% from 3, up to 17.5 points. Last season, putting up 20 points as the third option, almost the 4th option on some nights, with Tobias Harris there as well with James Harden. But this season, he has blossomed into an all-around scorer. Having that speed, like I mentioned before, getting to the rim, it's almost impossible to stop that pick and roll with him and Joel Embiid because he's so great from 3. Now, his numbers from 3, if you look at it at face value, did drop down. 44% almost last season, now at 37%. But when we look at his stats, there have been a good amount of games since January that Joel Embiid hasn't been playing due to his injury, so Tyrese Maxey has had to shoot more. It makes sense. Tobias Harris has missed a bunch of games. There was a tough stretch where Tyrese Maxey was really the only starter on this team playing, as D'Anthony Melton has been out for a while. Kelly Oubre really came off of the bench for most of this season and has been fantastic, but there were some nights he didn't play. Like I said, Tobias Harris, Joel Embiid all out. So there were nights where Tyrese Maxey had to carry the load, and they took some tough losses during this time, as we can see right here with this graphic. I mean, the difference with Embiid playing and Tyrese Maxey together, they had the best record almost in the NBA this season. Now, like I said, they did have a better record than the Celtics this season, but assuming that they did end up playing the full season together, we would assume that the record would go down a little bit. So I'm not going to say they would be the number 1 seed in the East if both of them played, but I think they would easily be up there in the top 3, if not the 2nd seed, if both players played the full season this year. As, like I said, Tyrese Maxey had to carry the load for a lot of those games when Embiid was gone. But Tyrese Maxey has had a fantastic growth this season, and it's due to all the other players on this team as well, with guys like Nick Batum, who in that last Spurs game, he didn't even score for the whole entire game up to 5 minutes left in the 4th quarter, where he would make 2 massive threes. Guys like Kelly Oubre, who have been absolutely fantastic and kind of transcended really any expectations that Sixers fans had for him this season. A lot were expecting some good things from him off of the bench, but for him to put up 15 points a night, he has been fantastic, and now getting starting minutes in a lot of these games as well, especially with a guy like D'Anthony Melton. Kind of, it almost seems like he's he's going to be out for the season. There haven't really been that many reports, but he is dealing with some tough injuries this season, so we're not sure if he's going to come back. But if this team can stay healthy, if Joel Embiid can be healthy, the roof and the ceiling for this team is, almost unmatched if the rest of this team can step up as well. With that being said, the Sixers could be in the midst of the running for the 6th or the 7th seed. As of right now, they're in the 7th seed, but if they can get into that 6th seed, they would be able to avoid the Celtics, and if they get that 7th seed, as long as they're not in the 8th seed, they can avoid the Celtics until the NBA Eastern Conference Finals, depending on if they can go out and win those games, which would be the best chance the Sixers have realistically to make the Eastern Conference Finals in a long time. It seems like last year they did have a good chance, obviously one game away, but it all would collapse. But going into the playoffs, this is the best chance that they've had in a while, especially with Embiid having a lot of rest. That rest, though, has come with him not being in great playing shape. But if he can go out there and he can get into playing shape within these next few weeks, and if Tyrese Maxey can continue this barrage that he has had the next few games, and he can get good going into the playoffs, if these players can go into the playoffs being completely healthy and they make it out of the play-in tournament with that 6th seed, get another week of rest, Embiid and company will be able to go into the playoffs healthy and have a pretty good chance. As if we look at the NBA standings right now, if you end up getting the 6th seed currently going up against the Orlando Magic in the first round, as a Sixers fan, obviously I would be happy with this matchup. The Magic have been great this year, but if you look at Joel Embiid and just the way that he plays, I don't really think there's anyone on the Magic that can guard him. I don't think that's really a hot take, considering there's not very many players in the league that can guard Embiid in general, and I think Tyrese Maxey can go out there and get it done. The mix of Kelly Oubre and Tobias Harris can go out there. Kelly Oubre has been fantastic defensively this year as well, so he can definitely help out guarding Paolo, and the inexperience of a team like the Magic could catch up to them in the end. The Knicks and the Cavs are also very close. All these teams within half a game of the 3rd seed, only one game out of the 2nd seed as well. So there's going to be a lot of shakeup in the seeding. If the Sixers do end up with the 7th seed and do go up against a team like the Bucks in the first round, it's going to be tough, but we have to remember that the Bucks coach right now is Doc Rivers, so the Sixers know a few things about him, and if the Bucks go up in the series with Doc Rivers as the head coach, they may have a better chance to win than if they were winning in the first place, it almost seems like. But there's going to be a lot of shakeup within this next final week of the NBA regular season. So with that being said, let me know who you guys think down below will win the Eastern Conference. Do you think the Celtics are going to be able to run away with this? Or do you think a team like the Sixers could come out, maybe even a team like the Heat can come out once again? Let me know down below.